What went wrong?
I don't know where could he start, to be honest with you. You know, we had, there are several things, to be honest with you. We had players who said they'd turn up, they even went so far as coming out and they're beginning to tug off, but they decided in the end that they weren't really team players. You know, I suppose what would you expect out of Tipperary people to not show little likes of that?
Just his tactics overall, awesome.
So, to be honest, I wasn't too impressed with that.
Some people question you had any players at all. Would you agree with that comment?
That's true. I suppose what we had on the field too, then I suppose, like in fairness, like, you know, 2 years in a row now we've had, you know, a fluky lob, you know, like, so, like, okay, right, you know, once you give them that, but like 2 years in a row, like, oh, it wasn't my fault, it was the wind and the rain caught it and fluky lob. So I suppose that was something else, you know. And didn't we like?
Would you question your choice of goalkeeper? If he's got lob 2 years in a row.
I wouldn't go that far, to be honest with you. You know, like, I suppose if I put it back in anybody else, might have considered it. Like,
there was summer talk about Steve Rooney, is it?
Yeah, but yeah, sure, he's like
he's a proper goalkeeper now. Like, he's,
well, you see, that's something else that happened too. You know, like, he's just joined the group, and again, you have to question or recruitment policy within the department. In, you know, like, we're recruiting guys who obviously are just not team players.
No, what about Paul Dempsey? Good recruitment.
Yeah, Dempsey was okay now. You know, for a fella from Westmeath, like, where they don't actually get to see a whole pile of football or pitches or anything like that. Is normally kind of bogged you're playing out there or something like that, isn't it? You know, kind of say didn't do too bad. You know, I was happy enough. Like, I don't want to comment on individual players. To be honest, I don't want to get dragged into that.
Schlacky, how do you think he played? Do you think he was trying to play GA during the match? Was there a bit of...
Well, I suppose he didn't realise it was a game of soccer. You know, like, that you're supposed to use your legs, and not every time you run up to the ball, you could just go and cock your rear end at it. I don't know what that was about. Maybe that's the way they play above in Clonmel. I don't know. Maybe he tried to bring a bit of his tag rugby experience into it. I don't know. Do they play that way in tag rugby? I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, know. Each player had 20 points on board. Look at, we're not in South Africa here. You know, like, these guys they're not getting paid 110,000 a week to play. You know, in actual fact, they're getting nothing. So, you know, what sort of level of professionalism, to be honest with you, do they expect? You know, like, you know, it goes back to you know, they might expect a level of professionalism out of me, but I also expect a level of professionalism out of them and from their colleagues. You know, I had 2 guys picked on the team. You know, get back to again, they came in and they're tally out and they said, oh sure, you got 15 or 16, I'm not going to play. You know, so what do you expect? I do run out just before the game as they're nearly tipping off, and you know, I'd ask 2 players to play. So admittedly, but you know, considering this morning at 9 o'clock when I went around, I had only 9 players. I managed to pull, you know, some players into it. I had to go around and do a recruitment drive this morning. So I think personally, I did okay.
He's up for Manager of the Year award, I'd say, after that performance.
You know, it's you know, you can see it with English. You can see
it seemed clear from the sidelines that you weren't happy with the refereeing decisions. But yeah, I think the general consensus is we got away with 2 stonewall.
Yeah, I admit that. Yeah, we definitely did. There was definitely 2 stonewall penalties that. There
was a Foxy lad involved in one of them.
Sure, he would have, like, surprised he had a knife and a shotgun with him, to be honest. You know, like, that's like, so I mind that. Surely the poor lad, he doesn't know any better, to be honest. Just the environment he comes from, like, you know. So I wouldn't. He can't help himself really that way, you know.
So
but
the
I
fact he
just-
comes from a disadvantaged background.
I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying the environment he's from, to be honest, you know. And so you can't blame them. People are what they are. You know, nobody's perfect. Nobody's born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Probably, you know. Well, again, it's getting back to it's a modern trend now in the game that, you know, we can see it. You know, say it's always the case of blame the manager. You know, the players are never at fault, or the referees are at fault. You know, same thing. You know, Thierry Henry, you know, knocked Ireland out of the World Cup. What about 3 or 4 games before that they should have won and they drew? You know, the players on the pitch at the end of the day, all you can do is coach the players, pick who I think are my best 11 at that point in time. Well, I had my best 11 picked out, but then 2 of that best 11 dropped out due to lack of commitment. So, you know, I had to pick my best 9 and then draft in 2.
Do you want to name those 2?
No, I won't get any.
Do they know who they are?
Oh, they know who they are. You know, like I mentioned, like I won't get drawn into mentioning names or anything to answer. Just that's beneath me.
Roll back your mind to a few years ago, the final. We were near, so near, so we got so far.
Again,
How does that sit with you today? You know, first round loss.
I feel
the team
that
expected to beat.
yeah. To be honest, you know, going back to that time, we like how many penalty shootouts did we win to get there? You know, we rode our luck to Austria all the way to the final. You know, we played 3 games to get into the final. I think we won in 3 penalty shootouts. So, you know, but we still played well in those games. I think definitely we had a more committed bunch of players back then, compared to the players that we have now. You know, they behave like overpaid prima donnas, which they certainly are not. So, you know, again, like I said, it tends to get back to, again, you know, blame the manager or blame the setup or blame the pitch or blame the weather or blame the referee or blame the manager, which of course he isn't wrong. So, you know, the players need to look at themselves, to be honest, yeah, and kind of when they go home tonight and kind of sitting down, they're going to be watching, you know, the World Cup game tonight, semi-final, and just say, look, did I give them my all? You know, both the players on the pitch, a lot of them gave it their all, some of them didn't.
So can you sum up the performance in one word, Owen?
Predictable. It's what you expect, to be honest, with the level of commitment that players gave, not even on the pitch but beforehand. The attitude of players towards, I won't play, my groin is sore, you know, my knees are banjaxed, I cycled 112 miles and I can't hardly walk, you know, things like that. So, you know, it's grand, again, like it's who do you blame, but to be honest, we'd only 15 minutes on the pitch aside, we only a half hour to prove ourselves. We only play once a year, so...
Is that down to training?
Yeah, but sure, we don't do any training, we lack it, you know.
And who should be training the team?
To be honest, if a draft is training, you probably do that right now, but realistically, I don't know, like, obviously we'd have to do more training, you know, but I think really the players have to look at themselves and say, you know, what can I do for a team, and my level of commitment to it. And it's both, we lost 3 footballs today, which just, you know, interrupted the flow of play. There's one particular instance where we're just getting on top, and you know, we had to stop the game for 2 minutes to look for a football. So again today it wasn't really, you know, if we had players on the pitch, just even not players on the pitch, if we had supporters on the sideline, support us, encouraging us, it definitely would have helped. But instead they went to have their espressos and cappuccinos and their prawn sandwiches down below in the canteen or whatever they have at lunchtime. Even again getting back the commitment of the players on the team today, where they have gone off and played with other mixed teams. You know, like last year, or even like 2 years ago, with a player where we were in the semi-final of the tournament and he played in the game before the semi-final with a mixed team, and people that he's going and he wasn't able to play with us. So, you know, I don't think
There was a lot of disharmony in the camp over that, really, wasn't there? Because it wasn't before the Solution Centre.
it was probably one of the lowest points, to be honest, of my managerial career.
Did that cost you the final?
Oh, definitely, I've shouted it out. We'd have won it that year. You know, to be honest with you, I'm surprised this year that that individual was even around to play and play, because normally he always tends to coincide his annual holidays with the barbecue tournament